Madam President, it's almost 13 years now since I introduced the DREAM Act. The DREAM Act, I've described earlier, gives young people brought to the United States at an early age who had no voice in what their families were going to do, to come to this country and to eventually find their way to legal status. At one point, even the House Republicans said they supported the so-called DREAM Act. Time and again, we have faced filibusters stopping the DREAM Act from passing in the Senate, but it was part of comprehensive immigration reform. This DREAM Act all started with this young lady, Tereza Lee, Korean, brought to the United States at the age of 2, grew up in a poor family in Chicago, and had an amazing musical talent, was accepted at the Manhattan Conservatory of Music and the Juilliard School of Music, and because she was undocumented, had no place to go. Her mother called our office, her mother, who incidentally worked night and day in a dry cleaning establishment in Chicago, and said, "What can we do?" The law had no real answer other than to say to this then 18-year-old girl, go back to where you came from for 10 years and try to come here legally. That was the law. I introduced the DREAM Act, and since then we've seen a growth in support for this because it is only fair. You cannot, should not, hold children responsible for the decisions and wrongdoing of their parents. These kids deserve a chance. That's what the president's executive action is about. That's why the action by the House Republicans was so reprehensible. Well, Tereza Lee incidentally made it. She went to the Manhattan Conservatory of Music. She ended up not only getting a bachelor's degree, not receiving any government assistance. She had friends and sponsors who stepped in to pay for it. She played in Carnegie Hall. She is now working on her PhD in music. She is now an American citizen by virtue of the fact that she married this young American jazz musician, and they are living in New York and recently had a baby. I couldn't be prouder of Tereza Lee and what she's done with her life. Here's a picture with her mom and dad. Her dad's passed away. He had a serious medical illness that could not be treated adequately because he doesn't qualify for any kind of government health insurance, and they didn't have the money to provide him the care that he needed. But Tereza Lee's story is one that inspires me every day to come to this floor and remind my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, these are real human beings we're talking about. These are not political pawns. These are young people who deserve a chance to become part of the future of America. Sometime soon, I hope very soon, maybe even this Friday, the President of the United States is going to announce his executive order. He's going to say that as he did with DACA, the Deferred Action Program, he is going to give more undocumented in this country a chance. It'll be a narrow category, not as broad as we'd like it, at least some of us would like it, but it will be consistent with what every president of the United States has done since President Eisenhower. It is fair, it is just, it recognizes our birthright as Americans in a nation of immigrants, and it says that we are willing to stand up and fight for fairness. I would just hope that a few Republicans will stand up and acknowledge this. I hope a few of them will join us in a bipartisan recognition that our broken immigration system cannot be fixed if the Congress of the United States, particularly the Republican House, refuses to even call the bill for a year and a half. Instead, the president's using his authority and doing the best he can to make this nation of immigrants proud again, that we are welcoming a new generation of people who will make us even stronger in the future. Madam President, I yield the floor. Before I yield the floor, Madam President, I have 7 unanimous consent requests for committees to meet during today's session of the Senate. With the approval of the majority and minority leaders, I ask that consent be agreed to and printed in the record.